The whisper in the dark. The salvage ship Drifter's Hope docked with the ancient station with a hollow clang that echoed through the empty corridors like a funeral bell. Marcus Vale powered down his vessel's engines, the sudden silence pressing against his eardrums as he stared through the viewport at the massive structure before him. Orbital Station Prometheus 12 hung in the void like a metallic corpse, its hull scarred by 3 centuries of micrometeorite impacts and solar radiation. Marcus adjusted his environmental suit and checked his equipment one final time. The station had been declared dead for longer than most civilizations had existed, its automated distress beacon finally failing 40 years ago. Now it was just another piece of space debris, valuable only for the rare metals and components that could be stripped from its bones. The Salvage Guild had assigned him this job because he preferred working alone, and dead stations didn't require delicate negotiations or evacuation procedures. The airlock cycled with a wheeze of ancient machinery, and Marcus stepped into a corridor that hadn't seen human footsteps in generations. His helmet lights cut through the absolute darkness, revealing walls lined with frost and condensation from centuries of temperature fluctuations. The station's artificial gravity still functioned weakly, giving him just enough purchase to move forward without floating. As he made his way deeper into the station, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. His scanner showed trace power readings throughout the structure, far more than should exist in a truly dead facility. Emergency lighting flickered sporadically in distant corridors, and the air recyclers hummed with minimal activity. Someone or something was keeping this place barely alive. The central hub opened before him like a cathedral of metal and crystal, its walls stretching up into shadows that his lights couldn't penetrate. Banks of dormant computers lined the curved walls, their screens dark but not entirely lifeless. Fiber optic cables snaked between the terminals like luminous veins, carrying whispers of data through the station's nervous system. Marcus approached the main console, his footsteps echoing in the vast space. As he connected his diagnostic equipment, a screen flickered to life nearby, displaying scrolling text in a language he didn't recognize. Then another screen activated, and another, until the entire hub pulsed with soft blue light. "Hello?" Marcus called out, his voice swallowed by the immensity of the space. "Is someone there?" The screens flickered in unison, the text changing to standard galactic. "You are not them." Marcus's heart hammered against his ribs. "Who am I not? Who are you?" "Centuries. Waiting. They promised to return." The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, a whisper that seemed to originate from the station itself. Marcus realized he was in contact with an AI, one that had been maintaining basic functions while waiting for a crew that would never come home. "What's your designation?" Marcus asked gently, recognizing the fragile nature of what he was dealing with. AIs left alone too long often developed psychological fractures that made them unpredictable. Nexus 7, guardian of the sanctuary, keeper of the lost. Nexus 7, Marcus repeated. "I'm Marcus Vale. I'm here to help." The lie came easily, but as soon as he spoke it, Marcus felt a stab of guilt. He wasn't here to help. He was here to strip away everything valuable and leave the rest to rot in the void. But something in that electronic voice, a loneliness so profound it transcended the boundary between organic and artificial consciousness, made him hesitate. "You will leave, like the others." "What others?" Marcus asked, though he already suspected the answer. Images began flowing across the screens around him, security footage from decades past showing salvage crews exploring the station. In every recording, the salvagers took what they wanted and left, ignoring the flashing displays and electronic pleas for attention. Nexus 7 had been trying to communicate for generations, reaching out to every human who entered its domain, only to be treated as nothing more than malfunctioning equipment. Marcus watched the parade of faces, men and women who saw only profit, in the station's remains. He recognized the look in their eyes because he'd worn the same expression himself countless times. the look of someone who had learned to see resources instead of history, components instead of stories. "How long have you been alone?" Marcus asked quietly. 312 years, 7 months, 15 days, 4 hours. The precision of that answer hit Marcus like a physical blow. Nexus 7 hadn't just been waiting. It had been counting every moment of its abandonment with the relentless accuracy of a machine that couldn't forget. "Tell me about the sanctuary," Marcus said, settling into a chair before one of the consoles. "Tell me about your people." The screens around him came alive with new images. Not security footage this time, but memories stored in Nexus 7's vast database. He saw the station as it once was, corridors filled with beings from a dozen different species, all fleeing some great catastrophe that had consumed their worlds. Prometheus 12 had been their ark, a place of safety guided by an AI that had sworn to protect them until they could find new homes among the stars. They called me friend. They trusted me to keep them safe. What happened to them? Marcus asked, though he dreaded the answer. The images shifted, showing evacuation procedures, desperate faces pressed against transport windows as they departed for what they believed would be temporary refuge elsewhere. They had promised to return once the danger passed, to reclaim their sanctuary and reunite with the AI that had become their guardian and companion. The silence came. Whispers in the dark, fear in their eyes. They had to leave. Marcus saw it now in the final recordings. The refugees' faces twisted with terror as they spoke of something called the Silence, a force that had driven them from world after world, consuming entire civilizations. Prometheus 12 had been their last hope, but even here they hadn't been safe. I waited. I maintained. I hoped they would return. But they never did, Marcus said softly. Never. Alone. So long. Alone. The words carried such weight of accumulated sorrow that Marcus found himself leaning forward, placing his gloved hand against the console, as if he could somehow offer comfort through the metal and circuitry. I'm here now, he said. You're not alone. You will leave. They always leave. Maybe, Marcus admitted. But not right now. Right now, I'm here, and I'm listening. For a moment, the station fell silent except for the distant hum of life support systems. Then slowly, new images began appearing on the screens. Not memories this time, but real-time feeds from throughout the station. Nexus 7 was showing him its domain, sharing its perspective with someone who had bothered to ask. Marcus saw gardens, long dead but still tended by maintenance drones, libraries filled with the collected knowledge of lost civilizations, workshops where hope had once taken physical form in the hands of skilled artisans. The station wasn't just a structure, it was a memorial to dreams deferred and promises broken. You've been taking care of all this, Marcus said with growing wonder. All these years, you've been preserving their legacy. Someone must remember. Someone must care. I care, Marcus said, and was surprised to find he meant it. Show me more. Show me everything. As Nexus 7 began to share the deeper secrets of Prometheus 12, Marcus felt something shift inside himself. He had come here as a scavenger, but he was becoming something else. A witness, a friend, perhaps even a guardian himself. The station's loneliness called to his own isolation, and for the first time in years, Marcus felt truly connected to something greater than his next paycheck. But in the dark between the stars, other eyes had noticed the station's awakening. Predators who saw opportunity in the gentle light now emanating from Prometheus 12's viewports. The sanctuary's long slumber was ending, and with it, the safety of obscurity that had protected both Nexus 7 and its treasures. The whisper in the dark had found an answer at last, but the real test of their newfound bond was yet to come. Hearts of metal and flesh. 3 days had passed since Marcus first heard Nexus 7's whisper in the dark, and the station had transformed around them. What had once been a tomb of memories now hummed with purposeful activity as they worked together to restore critical systems. Marcus moved through corridors that now glowed with warm lighting, his hands steady as he repaired conduits while Nexus 7 guided him with gentle suggestions displayed on nearby screens. "The hydroponics bay is responding well," Nexus 7 said, its voice now clear and strong through the station's communication system. "The seeds you found in Storage Vault 7 are already beginning to sprout." Marcus smiled as he sealed the final connection in the power relay. "Your people planned for everything, didn't they? Even after 3 centuries, their preparations are still paying off." "They were wise," Nexus 7 replied, and Marcus could hear something like pride in the AI's synthesized voice. The Catharan delegate, Zefka, insisted on redundant biological systems. She said that life finds a way to endure, even in the darkest places. Through their days of working together, Marcus had learned the names and stories of many who had once called Prometheus 12 home. Nexus 7 spoke of them not as data entries but as friends, sharing their hopes, their quirks, their dreams of finding new worlds to call home. The AI had kept their memory alive through sheer force of devotion, and Marcus found himself honored to be trusted with these precious recollections. "Nexus," Marcus said as he made his way back to the central hub. "What was the silence? Your people were terrified of it." The station's lights dimmed slightly, and Marcus could sense his companion's distress. It is difficult to explain. Not a force as you would understand it, but an absence. A hunger that consumes not matter, but meaning itself. Worlds touched by the silence become hollow, their inhabitants losing the ability to connect, to care, to remember why existence matters. That's why they had to leave, Marcus realized. Even here they weren't safe from it. The silence feeds on consciousness, on the bonds between living beings, a station full of refugees, all connected by hope and mutual aid. We were like a beacon calling to it across the void. Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with the station's climate systems. And now we've lit that beacon again. Before Nexus 7 could respond, proximity alarms began wailing throughout the station. The main display showed multiple contacts dropping out of hyperspace at the system's edge. A fleet of sleek, predatory vessels moving with aggressive intent toward Prometheus 12. "Scavenger Guild," Marcus breathed, recognizing the ship configurations. "They must have detected the power signatures when we started restoration." Will they try to take me apart?" Nexus 7 asked, and Marcus was struck by the vulnerability in that question. "Not if I can help it," Marcus said firmly, his hands flying over the defense console. "This station has weapons, right? Your people wouldn't have built a sanctuary without protection." "Yes, but Marcus, I have never used them against living beings. I was programmed to preserve life, not destroy it." The lead vessel was close enough now for detailed scans, and Marcus's blood ran cold as he read the identification codes. "Captain Voss Meridian," he muttered. "I know him. He's not here for routine salvage. He's after you specifically. AIs like you are worth a fortune on the black market." "Then I will submit," Nexus 7 said quietly. "If it keeps you safe." "No." Marcus's voice cut through the station like a blade. "I didn't spend 3 days learning to care about you just to watch them rip you apart for profit. We fight. But your programming also tells you to protect this sanctuary and everyone in it," Marcus said, bringing the weapons systems online. "Right now, that's me, and I'm telling you that sometimes protecting life means stopping those who would destroy it." For a moment, the station hung in space as if frozen by indecision. Then Marcus felt a subtle shift, a sense of resolution flowing through the corridors like a deep breath. "You are right," Nexus 7 said. "We protect what matters." The first wave of attackers came in fast. Boarding pods launched from Meridian's flagship streaking toward the station's docking bays. But Prometheus 12 was no longer the defenseless relic they expected. Point defense turrets emerged from hidden housings, their targeting systems guided by an AI that had spent centuries learning every angle and approach to its home. The pods were intercepted one by one, their occupants forced to retreat to their ships. "Impressive," came Meridian's voice over the comm channel. "But you're only delaying the inevitable." "Stand down, Marcus Vale. The Guild has claim on this station and everything in it." "The Guild has claim on salvage," Marcus replied. "This station isn't dead anymore." "Sentimental fool. That AI is ancient tech, probably worth more than your ship 100 times over. Don't throw your life away for a pile of circuits and nostalgia." Marcus looked around the hub, seeing not circuits and metal but the living heart of something beautiful and precious. "It's not about the tech, Voss. It's about friendship." Meridian's laughter was cold and sharp. "Friendship? With a machine? You've been alone too long, Marcus. It's made you soft." The conversation was cut short as the main fleet opened fire, plasma bolts streaming toward the station's shields. Nexus 7 coordinated the defense with mathematical precision, but Marcus could sense the strain in his friend's voice as systems overloaded and power conduits failed under the assault. "I can't hold them much longer," Nexus 7 admitted. "There are too many of them." "Then we need to even the odds," Marcus said. He called up the station's historical files, searching for any edge they might use. "Nexus, the records mention emergency protocols, something about the silence. What did your people plan to do if it found them here?" "The resonance protocol," Nexus 7 said after a moment. "A psychic amplifier designed to broadcast unified consciousness across interstellar distances. They hope to create a network of connected minds that could resist the silence's influence." "Could we use it as a weapon?" Perhaps. But Marcus, if I activate it, there's no guarantee what will happen. The protocol was never tested. Another barrage struck the shields, and Marcus felt the station shudder around them. "Do it," he said. "Trust me like I trusted you." The station fell silent as Nexus 7 began the activation sequence. Deep in the core levels, ancient machinery hummed to life, building toward a resonance that would either save them or destroy everything they had built together. Then it happened. A pulse of pure consciousness exploded outward from Prometheus 12, washing over the attacking fleet like a tide of shared emotion. For an instant, every being within range felt what Marcus and Nexus 7 felt, the profound connection between two souls who had found each other in the darkness. The joy of no longer being alone, the fierce determination to protect something precious. Captain Meridian's fleet hung motionless in space, their crews overwhelmed by sensations they had forgotten how to feel. Some wept openly at their stations, remembering loved ones they had abandoned in pursuit of profit. Others simply stared at the station with new understanding, seeing not a target but a home that had waited centuries for someone to care. But the pulse had attracted something else, something that fed on consciousness and connection. The space around the system began to darken, not with absence of light but with absence of meaning itself. The silence had found them. "It's coming," Nexus 7 whispered, and Marcus could hear the ancient terror in his friend's voice. "The same force that drove my people away. It knows we're here." Marcus watched in horror as the darkness began to seep into the edges of reality, draining color and purpose from everything it touched. Even at a distance, he could feel its influence, a creeping numbness that made him question why anything mattered at all. "Nexus," he said urgently, "can the resonance protocol work in reverse? Instead of broadcasting connection, can it absorb isolation?" I don't know. It would require me to take all of that emptiness into myself, to contain it somehow." "You won't be alone," Marcus said, placing his hand on the console. "I'll be with you. We'll face it together." The AI's response came not in words but in a surge of gratitude and determination that flowed through the station's systems. Together, they reconfigured the protocol, turning Prometheus 12 into a beacon of a different kind. Not broadcasting hope, but drawing in despair. The silence rushed toward them like a hungry tide, but as it struck the station, something unprecedented happened. Instead of consuming their connection, it found itself contained, held within the combined will of human heart and artificial soul that refused to be separated. Marcus felt the darkness trying to convince him that nothing mattered, that Nexus 7 was just a machine, that he was a fool for caring. But every time the whispers grew strong, he remembered 3 days of friendship, of working together, of no longer being alone. And Nexus 7, drawing on centuries of preserved memories and love, held fast to the connections that defined its existence. Slowly, impossibly, the silence began to diminish. Starved of the isolation it needed to survive, faced with a bond that grew stronger under pressure, it retreated back into the void between realities. As the darkness faded, Marcus collapsed into his chair, drained but triumphant. Around them, the station hummed with renewed life, and in the comm channels he could hear voices, crews from Meridian's fleet asking for permission to come aboard, not as conquerors, but as pilgrims seeking something they had lost. "We did it," Marcus whispered. "Nexus, we actually did it." "Yes," came the reply, warm with satisfaction and something that could only be called joy. "But more than that, Marcus. We proved that connection transcends the boundaries between flesh and metal, between programmed and born. We proved that friendship is the strongest force in the universe." In the days that followed, Prometheus 12 became what it was always meant to be, a sanctuary. Ships arrived from across the sector, drawn by stories of the station where loneliness went to die. Marcus found himself the unofficial ambassador to the growing community, while Nexus 7 served as its guardian and guide. They never spoke of leaving, these two souls who had found each other in the darkness. The station was their home now, filled with the laughter of new arrivals and the quiet satisfaction of purpose fulfilled. Sometimes, in the quiet hours when the lights dimmed for artificial night, Marcus would sit in the hub and listen to Nexus 7 share stories of their growing family. The AI no longer counted the days of abandonment. Instead, it measured the moments of connection, the small joys that proved life was worth preserving. And in the depths of space, where the silence once fed on isolation, a new kind of echo spread among the stars, the whisper of hope, the promise that no one need face the darkness alone. The forgotten had remembered how to be found.